Stop eating that. Do you like the lipstick? Disgusting. On today's episode of Free Unsolicited Cooking Knowledge, I'll be making roasted butternut squash with gnocchi. Okay, look at Daddy. Welcome back, little spoons. If you are new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button because I'm what? The missing ingredient to your kitchen. On today's episode, as you saw, we are doing roasted butternut squash and gnocchi, and I know that sounds like a weird dish, and it is a weird dish. A little backstory is this was supposed to be butternut squash ravioli, and I'm just gonna say it, I suck at making homemade ravioli. It is what it is. I'm a terrible Italian. I eventually just bought cannellonis and I piped the butternut squash filling into the cannellonis and baked them, and it was so delicious. I was at the store looking to buy cannelloni and the store I chose just did not have it, and I was too lazy to go to a different store, so we're doing gnocchi. And in my opinion, as long as there's some kind of pasta mixed in with the roasted butternut squash, I think it's gonna taste fantastic, and especially gnocchi because they have potatoes. You can't really go wrong. Anyway, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get into it. So the basic way to start this dish is to roast all your vegetables, and the first thing we're going to need to do is preheat our oven to 400 degrees. I'm getting better at remembering this. I'll be back. Now that we are preheating to 400 degrees, now comes the fun part. You're coming with me to harvest the butternut squash fresh from the garden because I believe they're ready. I hope they're ready. They looked ready. They should be ready. But we're gonna get our butternut squash, and of course I'm gonna pick some fresh sage because that's what the recipe calls for. So andiamo, let's go. All right, we are at my pumpkin patch / butternut squash patch. There are some that are not ready. There's a few little ones that seem to be ready. If they're not ready, I'm screwed. Also, it just rained, so it's a little wet out here. Also, don't mind my weeds. I had a lot of things going on this summer, but we have quite an abundance of things. But yeah, I will go ahead and I will pick these butternut squash, and then we will get to cooking.
It's so cute. It's just a baby.
That would equal one large one possibly. Should I do a third one? Okay, all right. We got the babies, and now I'm just gonna grab a handful of sage. So this is the sage that I left from last year actually, and it came back and I grew double the size. Absolutely beautiful. Smells amazing. I'm just gonna grab a lot of the younger sage. See, it's like a little bit like of a lighter color versus the other ones that are starting to turn a little more like lime-ish. I can't see with that. Yeah, lime-ish. Listen, I love summer, but I live for fall. Things die and I come to life. I don't know. It's a very odd feeling. But then following with winter just kills my soul. So here we are. All right, we got a nice little handful. Delicious. All right, let's get back to the kitchen. Okay, so we're back in the kitchen, and I have rinsed our butternut squash just to get the dirt off. We're going to be peeling it, scooping the seeds out, and chopping it into little cubes. Out of all of these, I think that this one is a good one to start with. So they look ready, except a little bit of the stem. The stem should be a little more brown or like yellow, but basically you want a uniform like tan color like this, including the bottom, which it is, and the bottom is brown, obviously. And there's no striping, maybe at the top a little bit, and it's hard to the touch. Anyway, so I'm gonna start with this one. Basically, I'm gonna chop the end off. I'm going to peel it, so hopefully that goes well. I also have a discard bowl here. I actually hate peeling butternut squash. You know what? It looks exactly like if I bought it at the store. By the way, these are the squash that I planted when I went shopping with Michelle in that one video. I forget what video it was. It was like planting pumpkins or something. Okay, I might chop the end off because it's very, very slippery and I do not want to get hurt. Oh, look at that. Gorgeous. Oh, it smells so fresh. Okay, scooping out the seeds, and I might keep these so I can plant them again next year. Okay, Oh no, the seeds are flying everywhere. I'm gonna finish peeling this the best I can. Ooh, perfect. Did you see that? It went right in the bowl. Okay, so the squash is fully peeled and seeded. So I'm gonna chop these up into little cubes and I'm gonna put it in another bowl. So let me grab that. So I think I'm gonna try and do smaller cubes so it kind of cooks a little quicker. So we're doing like 1 inch by 1 inch, you know, just a little guy. Don't forget, after we roast these, they will be blended. Basically like as if you were gonna do a ravioli filling. Just thought I'd let you know that. This is what takes the longest and it is so annoying. So no, it's not a quick meal. Not this week, guys, sorry. Now that you have washed, peeled, seeded your butternut squash and you've chopped it into little pieces like this, again, I'm only gonna do one because I think it's just enough for Cody and me tonight for dinner. So I'm gonna do that. Your next ingredient is going to be a sweet onion or a yellow onion or whatever onion of your choice. I tend to stay away from red onions because I find that their flavor kind of overpowers the meal. So today I'm going to be doing a sweet onion. I initially thought that all three were gonna be ready. I'm gonna wait on those. You know what? No, I lied. Before we get into the onion, I think this one is ready. I think this one's fine. And I think that'll be enough. I wanna make sure we get that butternut squash, you know? Let me just, yeah, that's perfect. So never mind. All right, we have 2 small butternut squash cubed into small 1-inch squares. My will to live is no longer here, guys. That was a lot of work. And now we're going to chop a sweet onion. Here we are, this beautiful specimen. I might only use half because of course I bought a very large one. Okay, I'm gonna cry, I can already feel it. Okay, remember we are keeping the, what's this called? We're keeping the root attached and I'm basically going to slice it horizontally. Again, you want just like 1 inch, maybe even smaller little cubes, if you will. And you don't go all the way through, the root will hold it together. All right, here we go. Oh, I'm tearing up, guys. Okay. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a rough chop. Oh, okay. Woo! Okay, everyone hold that thought. I'm literally just transferring to a bigger bowl. All right, I'm gonna put the onion in there. So now that we've added that all to a bigger bowl, the next ingredient you're gonna need are 2 garlic heads. Yes, not cloves, garlic heads, like so. And basically we're gonna chop the top off to open up the actual cloves inside. These are just gonna sit on the tray. Basically everything is gonna be covered in olive oil and it's gonna go in the oven, but we need to prep these. So basically like that. There we go. Okay, I have my extra virgin olive oil. I don't know how much I'm gonna do, basically to coat everything. I think it's going to differ between how much of your vegetables you have. You know, you could do it when it's laid out on the tray or whatever, but I'm just giving it a good cover. All right, we're gonna do the same thing with salt, probably a teaspoon worth. Beautiful. And then of course, fresh cracked black pepper. Again, half a teaspoon. I'm not a huge pepper fan, but it really goes well with this recipe. And I'm just gonna give that a quick mix. Get like a rough coat on everything. And then I'm just adding a little bit of olive oil, just as a little circle on my cloves there. And that is it for the prep for your vegetables. So, where's my tray? All right, baking tray, parchment paper, and I'm basically just putting this on the tray. Look at these colors, gorgeous. And I'm making 2 little spots for my garlic. Also, I'm gonna wrap my garlic in tin foil only because I don't want to wait for them to finish baking, essentially. Remember, reflective side in, it reflects the heat back into the item you are cooking. I'm just doing a nice little rough crumble on that. And that's it for this portion of the recipe. So this is gonna go in the oven for 30 to 40 minutes or until your squash are fork tender and soft. I will put this in the oven and I will see you in 30 to 40 minutes. Okay, it has been 40 minutes and basically, it's been a little chaotic. So I have a big pot of water on the stove. I haven't started it yet, but there we go. I put it on high. So basically we're getting our salted water boiling because I'm gonna be cooking the gnocchi in that, but I'm gonna start it now. The vegetables are done roasting, so I'm gonna pull that and I'm basically gonna throw it in a blender to make it all smooth and cohesive. So hold that thought, I will be right back. All right, I have my blender here, and basically I'm gonna put all these vegetables in the blender, blend it until it's smooth, and then I'm gonna put it in a bowl. I might just do one of these heads of garlic because they be smelling really powerful, and I'm only doing one package of gnocchi now that like I'm going through everything. Also, they didn't roast as well as I thought they would. They're soft, never mind. Never mind, I lied. Anyway, I'm going to be placing this in my blender. You know what, let's just be a little safer here, okay? Don't want to waste anything. Oh, this is really hot, but they like squeeze it out. Look at that. Look at it, it's just so soft. Hot on my hands. This is why I can never be one of those influencer like cooks, because they always like squeeze it into whatever they're making, and no, I'm just not that person. I'm just always a hot mess in the kitchen and hot. Ow!
Use an oven mitt.
I don't want to dirty my oven mitt. There we go. Couple more cloves. Okay, but I am saving this. I can make a nice garlic bread. This is my only second time using this. This is not mine, this is my mom's. All right, everything's locked and closed. And by the way, the water is still not boiled, which is fine. For timing reasons, it's perfect. So we're gonna blend this until it is smooth, and then we're going to transfer it to a bowl. So power, and I'm just gonna pulse. I'm afraid, okay. Okay, I think we're done. Is my water boiling yet? We're almost there. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna transfer this to a bowl. Ooh, it's hot. Oh. I'm just turning off my water. Things are now happening really fast. And I'm not gonna rush. All right, I'm gonna clean this up and then I'm gonna show you what to do next. All right, so we have our mixture in a bowl, and basically I'm going to add shredded, I was gonna say mozzarella. No, shredded Parmesan. And I was gonna measure it, but I'm gonna measure with my heart, but basically it might be half a cup that you're putting into a cup. So, here, oh dear. Here we go. Listen, you can never have too much cheese, all right? And now I'm just folding that in. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm gonna add a little more. And then one for good luck, okay? Oh, beautiful. It's gorgeous. Now that I've incorporated all the cheese, I'm gonna set this aside. Then I'm gonna set up my tabletop burner, and then I'm gonna show you what to do next. I have my burner and a pan, but before I get into that, I'm just letting you know that I did turn my boiling water back on, and it is currently boiling. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm gonna add my gnocchi to that so it starts cooking, because this is gonna cook fast as we're prepping this step. This is the type of gnocchi I got. They are really delicious. Yes, I know I could have made my own gnocchi, but like I said, I have had a hard week, okay? And I always like to make like shortcuts in the kitchen. And that's not a bad thing. I was gonna do 2 of these, but honestly, I don't think my pan is big enough for 2 packages. Anyway, I'm gonna throw this in my boiling water carefully. They cook pretty fast. Ow, hot. All right, I put in the gnocchi. I'm gonna give it a good little mixing, and they are done when they start floating to the surface of the water, which could be super fast. And now that I think about it, I think things are gonna move quickly. Now that your gnocchi is in the boiling water, the next ingredient you're going to need are hazelnuts, and I'm gonna give them a rough chop because I don't want them to remain whole. Here we are, just whole hazelnuts, no name brand, not sponsored yet. And I'm gonna do an entire bag of these. So basically I'm going to give these a rough chop slash smash, I guess. Nope, that's not gonna work. Oh no. Oh no, I can't do them all at once. Just basically I wanna get them open to get some flavor on them. Some toasting on them. Yes, I can crush them, but like only a couple at a time. Oh, some of my gnocchi is cooking too fast. Okay, hang on, everyone hold that. Things are just happening like crazy. I'm overstimulated. Okay, the gnocchi are fine. They're safe. They cooked much faster than I thought they would. Oh dear. Okay, I don't remember the last time when I cut hazelnuts, it was this difficult. All right, I'm just gonna scoop these and put them like directly in the pan here. The pan is not on. Okay, I could not be dealing with that right now. Okay, I'm gonna turn this on a medium heat, okay? We're gonna give that a little roasty toasty. Once they are like a little more browned and roasted, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add some butter. Do I know how much butter? No. In case you're wondering, this was about 100 grams of, I was gonna say chestnuts. Cheers, 100 grams of hazelnuts. I'm just gonna give that a little mixeroonie because this does heat up really fast. As this is heating up, I'm going to prep my sage. I just want to let you know that these have been washed. Basically, I had a bowl of water, I put it in there, I mixed it around and let them air dry. Now, I'm not keeping the stems. I'm literally just tearing the leaves off of that. Once I have the leaves off completely, I'm just gonna toss these. I'm just gonna give them like a nice chop, just so that like when you know, eat it, it's not like an overpowering like single whole leaf. And then I'm gonna grab some salted butter and I'm just gonna chop it in chunks so when it needs to melt, it just melts a lot quicker. Guys, today has been just a journey. I love this meal so much, but it takes so much effort. Okay, I have a stick of butter. Also for this dish, I'm gonna grab a lemon. I'm gonna juice half a lemon into this to add a little bit of like an acid to it. So I'm gonna prep that. Get rid of the sticker. Cut that, beautiful. I love fresh lemon. Get my juicer just prepped. That ain't gonna work. Okay, my lemon's too big. We're gonna have to do 2 squeezes here, all right, friends? Okay, these were, they're toasting real quick near the end there. Okay, and now I'm just gonna add like, I don't know, half a stick of butter to start with. Let me just, I lowered my temp. Oh, beautiful. I'm gonna add more butter. Actually, I feel like I've added like a full stick before. Let's do 3/4 of a stick. We'll see how it goes. I'm just saying I got this recipe like basically 3 years ago and I kind of wrote it down once, not really, because it was like one of those videos, like a TikTok, and the original creator never put the recipe down. So this was all like a guesstimation. I'm gonna add the sage, give that a good mix. You know what? We're adding the whole stick, y'all. We're adding the whole stick. This looks so beautiful. Look at that. Look at the colors. Oh my goodness. Okay, so the butter is fully melted, so I'm gonna go ahead and squeeze half a lemon in. Mix that in. Not gonna do the full half lemon. That was a really juicy one. Now that this is like all sizzling and together, I'm going to add my gnocchi essentially. So hopefully these didn't stick. Oh, okay, good. We're good. We're good. We're good, y'all. We're good. We're gonna add that in. so exciting. We're just gonna give that like a nice little mix, lower our heat. This is what we're looking like. Everything is coated beautifully, very aromatic, so gorgeous. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to let this sit. I'm gonna clean this up and then I'm gonna show you what to do next. So I forgot to add an ingredient to the squash mix, but it is not too late, I can still add it, and that is going to be 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. All right, going in, it should have been dark brown sugar, I couldn't find it. We're improvising, okay, little spoons. It's gonna taste delicious no matter what. All right, now we're gonna, oh dear. Now I'm just gonna mix that in. Okay, now that that is mixed in, this would have been the ravioli filling, and then you would have boiled and then fried the ravioli in the sage hazelnut butter mixture. But because like I said, I did not want to make raviolis, and the store did not have the cannelloni shells, which if they did, I would put this into a piping bag and then I would pre-boil the cannelloni shells, not till they're cooked, only until they're like al dente. Then I would have piped these in, put them in the oven and called it a day. But instead I got gnocchi, and now it's time for assembly. So basically I'm making like a kind of gnocchi squash lasagna, if you will. I'm gonna grab my tray, which I personally think is a little too big, but it doesn't matter. It's still gonna marry all the flavors, all right? Here it is, all right, okay. We're gonna do a layer of gnocchi and then we're gonna top it with the squash. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pour that in, and then we're gonna top it with our beautiful squash. Ooh, maybe I should have breadcrumbs on top. Like a gnocchi casserole almost. It's fine. Damn, this squash is thick, y'all. It is thick. We have the pasta in, we have the squash on top, and I'm gonna do a layer of cheese, and then I'm gonna throw it in the oven because that's how we do it here on Free Unsolicited Cooking Knowledge. More cheese. Oh, this is what we look like. Like I said, this is not your conventional meal, but it will do, okay? The flavors will still be together, and that's all that matters. I'm gonna throw this in the oven at 400 degrees for about, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, just so that top cheese is melted, and then we're gonna call it a day. Anyway, I'll BRB until the cheese is melted, all right? My wrist! It has been 15 glorious minutes, and the smell of this is like going to make me pass out because it is just pure serotonin. Like drugs and alcohol who? Okay? The cheese is just starting to melt, but I didn't want it to burn. All right, friends, I'm going to let this sit for 5 minutes. I'm going to plate it, and then it's gonna be time for
TTT.
TTT, taste test time. We are plated and we're ready to go. I added some cheese on top. I'm gonna show you what that looks like. This is this beautiful dish. Look at it, Gorgina. The colors are amazing. It's perfect. It took all freaking day. I don't even know where the time went. Anyway, I'm gonna dig right in.
Hot.
This is probably my top 3 dishes I've made on this show.
Wow.
It literally is like, you get the crunch of the hazelnuts, the salt from the cheese, then the starch from the potato gnocchi, which is so good, but honestly, it works with any pasta. The sweetness of the butternut squash, like, oh my God, it's so good. The freshness of the sage, like, honestly, I'm super proud of my harvest. This is gonna be my hyperfixation food as like fall continues on, because I have a lot more butternut squash out there. Would you like to try some?
Yeah.
So good. Okay, here.
Thank you.
Also, Cody hasn't been here in a while, so this is a perfect taste test for him, to be honest.
Wow. That is such an, like, what a blend of flavors. It's incredible. Sweet, savory, starchy, all the good stuff.
So the potato gnocchi was a good decision. Please don't choke.
looks like it belongs in a cookbook. I don't know what you're talking about.
Really?
Yeah,
It's not my original recipe. I'm just going to say that. But the gnocchi part is my original part, so.
presentation is fantastic.
Thank you. Clean Plate Club. Honestly, worth the effort and all the hard work and planting and watering and everything else that went into those butternut squash. This is what I consider freaking perfection. Okay? Thank you, my little spoons, for lasting this long in the video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Honestly, mind-blowingly amazing flavors in this little dish. It has everything: sweetness, the crunch of the hazelnut, the absolute flavor and like freshness of the sage, the fat from the butter. Like, it just, I'm dreaming about it. It's so good. It's so freaking good. And yeah, I'm glad I improvised with the gnocchi. It made it a little bit easier because I didn't have to pipe the cannelloni. Also, I didn't have to make ravioli. So personally, there's no room for improvement, but I'm sure you creative little spoons out there can add to it any way you want, because this is just how I do it. You don't have to do it this way, and that's the beauty of cooking. Anyway, thank you, my little spoons. And you know what? Butternut squash. See ya. My heart is